Late last week, on the day after Christmas, Donald Trump went on a conservative radio show and boasted about his administration's deadly and possibly illegal airstrikes on civilian boats. However, it was not Trump's celebration of potential war crimes that caught people's attention. It was this moment.
Every time I knock out a boat, we save 25,000 American lives. We just knocked out, I don't know if you read or you saw, they have a big plant or a big facility where they send where the ships come from. 2 nights ago, we knocked that out. So we hit them very hard.
This casual admission, a land strike on Venezuela, would mark a dramatic escalation in Trump's so-called drug war. But we still do not know exactly what happened here. The White House, Pentagon, and CIA all refused to comment on, let alone confirm, Trump's claim. So either Trump bragged about a land strike in Venezuela that did not happen, or as the reporting suggests is more likely, he openly talked about an operation that he was not supposed to. Meanwhile, the New York Times and CNN both reported, citing multiple sources, that it was the CIA that conducted this strike. And more importantly, does any of this seem legal to you?
To answer your first question, no, none of this is normal. It is not normal for anybody to disclose a covert operation. This is the second time the president has done that. If you remember, he did it a few months ago when he discussed that he had made a finding to authorize CIA action in Venezuela. Essentially making it no longer covert. So that is not normal. But then again, this is an administration that isn't too concerned with operational security or keeping classified information classified. As to whether it's legal, I would say this, and you know my position that this entire campaign against non-combatants in the Caribbean has not been supported by domestic or international legal authority. As to CIA operations on land, there may be some domestic legal authority for that. We don't really know the facts. We're not even sure what was targeted. Was it drugs? Was it oil? Was it just an empty dock? But no matter what the administration thinks it may be justifying through domestic law or CIA authorities, it still has to grapple with international law. For example, the UN Charter, which would strictly forbid this type of escalation and use of force. Of course, both the US and Venezuela are members of the UN. So even if there is domestic authority, this does not comport with any version of international law.
There was some initial reporting that the special operations forces might have been involved. They've denied that. It does appear to have the hallmarks of the CIA. And look, there were drone strikes carried out around the world after 9/11 by the Bush administration, the Obama administration. A difference there is that there were votes by Congress authorizing the use of military force to respond to al-Qaeda. And then particularly later on in the Obama administration, there were regular briefings to the Senate Intelligence Committee. There was a story actually written by Ken Delanian, who's now a colleague of ours at MS now, but he was working for the Los Angeles Times then. And staffers from the Senate Intelligence Committee would go out to CIA headquarters, watch videos of drone strikes, get lots of detail about how the target was chosen, was it the right person, and then watch the strikes and see if they were done properly. And in this current situation, none of that is happening. There might have been notifications. There's supposed to be notifications to the Gang of Eight. Those are the top officials in Congress, members of Congress in the Intelligence Committee and in leadership positions. I reached out to those officials. I declined to comment. So it's just, this is all very confusing, very unusual, and all very, very hidden at this point.
Welcome back, guys. When I first heard this story, my honest reaction was confusion, then concern, and then a lot of serious questions. Because what we are talking about here is not small talk. This is not gossip. This is about a possible secret US military action in another country, and the former president talking about it on the radio like it was casual news. According to the report, Donald Trump went on the conservative radio show and started talking about what sounded like a covert land strike in Venezuela. He did not explain it clearly. He did not give details, but the way he talked made it seem like something serious had already happened. And that alone is a big deal. Now there is where it gets strange. After this claim came out, reporters did what they always do. They asked the White House, they asked the Pentagon, they asked the CIA, and every single one of them refused to confirm everything. No yes, no no, just silence. That leaves us with two possible answers. Either this strike never happened and Trump was talking big, or It did happen, and he talked about something that was supposed to stay secret. And honestly, both options are bad. If it never happened, then why would a former president talk about a fake military action that damages trust? It confuses the public, it makes the country look reckless. But if it did happen, then talking about it openly could put lives at risk. It could expose methods, people, and future operations. Then things got even more serious. Major news outlets like the New York Times and CNN reported using multiple sources. Then the CIA was involved. That is not random reporting. That means people inside the system are worried enough to talk. Trump later spoke to reporters and did not deny it clearly. Instead, his answers sounded vague, like he was walking around the truth without saying it straight. That only added more fuel to the fire. Former Army captain and federal prosecutor Margaret Donovan explained sometimes very important. She said it is not normal for a president to talk about covert operations. These things are secret for a reason. And she also said this is not the first time Trump has done this. She went on to say that this administration did not seem very concerned about keeping classified information secret. And that should worry everyone. No matter what party you support, national security is not a joke. It is not about ego. It is about safety. Then comes the legal side, and this is where things get even more troubling. Donovan explained that attacks like this must follow both US law and international law. You cannot just strike another country because you feel like it. There has to be legal authority. She said there might be some domestic authority for CIA land operations, but international law is a different story. The United Nations chapter is very strict about using force in another country. A strike like this could be seen as illegal under international law. Another reporter, David Royd, added more context. He explained that in the past, under both Bush and Obama, drone strikes were debated in Congress. There were votes, there were briefings, lawmakers were kept informed. But this time, none of that seems to be happening. Even members of the so called Gang of Eight, the top leaders who usually know about secret operations, refuse to comment. That silence speaks loudly. Then we get into how targets are chosen. Donovan explained that in war, you must target a lawful target. You must identify a real enemy. You must show an imminent threat. You can't just attack a place and hope it makes sense later. In the case, the target was reportedly an empty dog. An empty dog does not shout back. An empty dog does not prove an immediate threat. That raises serious questions about justification. She also talked about dual use facilities. Some places have both civilian and military uses. When that happens, the responsibility is even higher. You must be absolutely sure you are hitting the right thing. One mistake can kill innocent people. Another alarming point was about the CIA's legal leadership. The current CIA General Counsel also holds another powerful position and assigned himself to that role. That raises concerns about checks and balances. Legal advice should be independent, not self approved. Even worse, there are reports that legal justifications were created after the strike happened. That is backward. Law should guide action, not accuse it after the fact. An Office of Legal Counsel memo that supposedly supports this operation was issued days after the strike. The public has not seen it. No explanations has been given for why it is secret. That lack of transparency should concern everyone. At the end of the day, this is bigger than Trump. This is about how power is used. This is about how power is used. It is about whether laws matter. It is about whether secrecy is handled responsibly. And it is about whether leaders think before they speak. Talking loosely about possible military action is dangerous. Making it up is dangerous. Revealing it is dangerous. Either way, the public deserves clarity, honesty, and accountability. Americans can disagree on politics, that is normal, but national security should never be treated casually. Words matter, silence matters, and actions matter even more. Thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more important stories. And I will see you in the next video.